Some vehicle modes have hidden symbols underneath that are nearly impossible to spot during normal gameplay. For example, Breakdown and Megatron have Decepticon insignias, Bumblebee has an Autobot insignia, and Barricade has a pattern that resembles Megatron's torso in Fall of Cybertron. All of Starscream's holograms in Chapter 1 have his colors flipped. His torso and upper legs are blue, but his head and forearms are red. Both colors' RGB values are also slightly different from the final design. This is about what he should look like with his correct colors. Dark Energon wasn't originally purple. Early teasers and checkpoint images revealed that it was a mix of pink and black, and had a different pattern engraved into it. Some other checkpoint thumbnails retained that different pattern, but had a purple color that we now know, suggesting that the colors eventually changed to purple, but it took them longer to update the pattern. It's assumed that escalation maps continue to get more difficult as you progress through the waves, but this is only true until a certain point. Every map has a cutoff wave before it stops getting more difficult. Broken Hope and Forsaken are 17, Remnant, District, and Static are 20, and Pulse is 30. And to clear up confusion, the waves listed here are still more difficult than the waves before. So Wave 30 on Pulse is still more difficult than Wave 29, but Wave 31 is the same difficulty as Wave 30. I hope that makes sense. In the intro cutscene for Chapter 4, Breakdown gets scared and yanks the ship's steering wheel to dodge Omega Supreme. But if you zoom the camera out, it's revealed that the quote-unquote steering wheel is just a reused multiplayer objective. Many checkpoints in the game are a buggy mess. Loading Checkpoint 4 of Chapter 1 causes all the soldiers in the previous room to go into an A pose. And quickly turning around after the 9th checkpoint of Chapter 6 reveals that the previous area is fully unloaded. You can even see the skybox through a crack in the door. The ion displacer, also known as the mounted turret, has gone through some design iterations. In the Chapter 6 intro cutscene, we can see it with a completely different model. It appears that model is also here in this promotional image, but it has the barrel of the ion blaster. Pre-rendered Decepticon cutscenes reveal that Barricade's color palette used to be made up entirely of silver, rather than the purple and silver we got in the final game. As well as this, the tips of his helmet near the cheeks are white rather than yellow. The textures of some debris are made up of computer motherboards, and once you see this, I promise you will never unsee it. In Chapter 6, Warpath can be seen above, shooting at some enemies. But his bullets aren't coming out of any gun, but rather his bare hands. According to references in the game files, this Decepticon's name is Jimmy. It's stated in multiple different levels, so it was likely an ongoing inside joke with the developers. Most files from the PS3 version of the game are compatible with the PC version of the game. This is the reason why the DLC mod is possible at all, as maps and character models are loaded directly from PS3 files. Breakdown is supposed to have a blue and silver color palette, but if you're playing as Soundwave or Megatron in the campaign, he instead has a silver color palette. He also has the EMP shotgun instead of his intended scatter blaster. This is because AI characters have their colors and loadout stored separately from their playable counterparts. So it's likely that the developers pasted in the wrong colors and typed in the wrong ID for the gun, because the Scatter Blaster and EMP shotguns have very similar names in the files. During development, the game was simply titled Transformers Cybertron, and here's an old main menu screenshot featuring that name. There's a lot of unused textures in the game that are leftovers from the editor that the developers used. A lot of them are normal placeholder textures, others are a lot more, let's say, interesting. The front of the Autobot dropships is a direct copy of the front of Optimus's vehicle mode. A split-screen mode was originally planned for the game, and still partially works. Player 2 can't move in any way, but they do spawn in, and the views are properly split. It's unclear why this was cut, but my guess would be performance issues, since consoles already performed quite poorly, or simply time constraints. Soundwave's character selection art is flipped. While his cannon is on his right shoulder in-game, it's on his left shoulder in the art. None of the other asymmetrical characters, such as Demolisher or Dead End, suffer from this issue. In all of Thundercracker's voice lines, he has a standard American accent.
There it is, the entrance to the underground. Cannons primed and ready to go.
But in this single line in Chapter 2, he has this weird British-esque accent.
Wait! Scans show high-density Ubarium shielding on that door!
At first I assumed this was a different character, but the localization files confirm that this is Thundercracker. It seems like the Chapter 6 outro cutscene wasn't originally going to be pre-rendered, but rather rendered in-game. This is backed up by the fact that assets from the start of the cutscene are still in the files. This includes spawned actors for the characters, full animations, camera angles, sound events, and more. Here's a partial restoration that I made in Blender. This could theoretically be remade in-game as well, it would just require a lot more patience. But anything past Bumblebee's taunt, right here, cannot be remade, as the animations and other assets don't exist past that. And that's all. This is definitely the longest amount of time I've spent working on a single project, and I want to make higher quality videos like this in the future. So please let me know if you have any criticism, whether it be the editing, footage used, commentary, pacing, anything. Thank you.
Run, you yellow-plated coward!